people who say, I like everything that you say. It's all reasonable and logical up until you bring religion into it. I agree with everything up until you bring up all that Islam stuff. Well, that just tells you where your own logic and your own sense reach their limit. Your reasonableness can only go along with me up until that point, and then your reasonableness runs out. They'll say, why do you have to bring religion into it? But that's the wrong question. Why do you bring secularism and atheism into it? I mean, why do you irrationally and illogically insist that religion must be illogical and irrational, when all you've been hearing from me so far is nothing but reason and logic all along? No, I'm not going to leave religion out of it. Just because your capacity for reason and logic can't cope with it, just because your capacity for reason and logic end at that point, your Western so-called Enlightenment civilization is a monstrosity in human history. Well, you've committed genocide after genocide, and you're committing one right now in Gaza. Your logical, rational, reasonable European powers obliterated the Native Americans. You systematically dehumanized and enslaved Africans for centuries. You carried out population extermination in Namibia, in Congo, in Algeria, and on your own continent against the Jews, the Holocaust, the Gypsies, the Muslims in Bosnia, on and on. So yeah, you made sense. I was following your reason and your logic up until you brought in that genocidal mass murder. That's where you lost me. You can't talk about rationality and reason. You must be joking. You can only say that if you live inside of your own Western propaganda echo chamber. It's an absurd thing. It's just as absurd as calling yourselves democracies. You created societies that sacralize wealth, that sanctify the rich, giving them near holy authority. You didn't abandon the papal tyranny. You just shifted it into the morality-free private sector. Do you know that about a third of Westerners believe in astrology? And about half of them, and just under half of them, believe in aliens and spaceships, and over half of them believe that Atlantis existed. Over half of them also think that they can will something into existence by writing it on a wish board and just thinking about it hard enough, visualizing it. Your society's literally indoctrinated you out of thinking. You replaced the church, which manipulated you for centuries and gaslit you into so that you wouldn't think for yourselves. And you just replaced that with the state, with the private sector, with mass media and entertainment. You're just an automaton, living paycheck to paycheck, sinking in debt, estranged from your family, living out fantasies in your head about what you're going to be when you grow up. Meanwhile, you're in your 40s. You identify more with the brand names that you wear than with your own name. You don't know your neighbors most likely. You binge watch for hours and hours watching Netflix just to escape the drudgery and pointlessness of your existence. And meanwhile, you think like more than 50% of Americans think that their life is worthy of becoming a book or a movie. And so you sit around thinking about which celebrity will play you in a movie about a man sitting on a couch. Honestly, you must have no idea what your societies look like to the rest of the world. The overwhelming majority of Westerners just carry thoughts and opinions in their minds that were implanted in their brains, not anything that they thought of themselves, not anything that they ever even scrutinized themselves. I mean, I had one man complaining to me about the soaring crime rates in Ireland because supposedly of the influx of refugees and immigrants. He was arguing with absolute conviction that this was the case, that this was absolutely true. Okay, but the crime rates in Ireland are at their lowest level since the 1990s. He didn't even do that basic, obvious research before he was blasting out his moral outrage. I mean, how do you live your life like that? That has to manifest in so many other areas of life. I don't even know how you dress yourself in the morning.